1st, 2023 of remote meeting provisions. Per Governor Baker's extension, the public will not be allowed to physically access this school committee meeting. This meeting will be conducted hybrid. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Comments can be emailed in advance of the 6:30 p.m. start time to lran@whittier.tech.ma.us. All comments will be recorded to the record, and all attempts will be made to mention them live during the meeting. Any emails received during the meeting will be mentioned at the following meeting. Mr. Laganis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, rest of the school committee members. It's always a pleasure standing up here and introducing our new staff to you. So we have a few tonight that showed up, and I'd like to call them up and just line them here, and we can give them and welcome, give them a good Whittier welcome. First of all, we have Lisa Desberg, English instructor. Come on up, Lisa. Jeff Fox, another English, he's an English tutor. Welcome, Jeff. Come on right here so we all can see you. I'm sorry too, because we have at home too.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Jessica Collini, moderate disabilities instructor. Lillian Levesque, school adjustment counselor. School psychologist as well. Heather Sweeney, school adjustment counselor. Andy Bonifacio, school adjustment counselor. And Allie Simmons, math teacher. So if we can all see our whole crew, welcome to Whittier Wildcats. Welcome to our. Would anybody like to have a speech? No speeches?
Isn't one of our new teachers or guidance counselors or adjustment counselors one of your former students?
Yes, so I have to say, I'm gonna do myself, but not embarrass Mr. Bonifacio.
Can I just speak right here?
Come on. Come on over. Get it. Right here.
First of all, thank you everybody for inviting us over to introduce ourselves. Again, I'm Andy Bonifacio. I'm a Haverhillite. I grew up here. I serviced Haverhill Public Schools for about 13 years. And I'm really excited to join this team, this community, and provide my services to the great student population at the school. And yeah.
And wait, who's your favorite math teacher?
Of course, Mr. Laganis.
And I'm still, and I'm about 35 years old.
Yay. Does anybody else want to follow? And Miss Ginsburg, I know you have something.
Yeah, Miss, come on, Miss Desberg. Superintendent still. And also my student. Not Miss.
20-year veteran, so I feel great being like this for the culture as well. And all the new teachers, it is a fun place to be. The students are great.
Awesome.
What do you teach?
Teaching
And where did you come from?
Wilmington.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Who's next?
Anybody else? How about a helicopter mechanic?
Really?
No one knows that. I know it. Go ahead, Mr. Fox.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fox. I'm the MCAS English tutor. I came over from Brighton High School. As you just heard, I was previously a helicopter mechanic when I was in service. And I tell all the students that in my MCAS that what they're learning here in this school, they're going to be able to use basically the rest of their life, regardless of what direction they're going to take. They always have that skill in their back pocket. So this has been a great experience, and I'm really pleased to be here. So thank you.
Glad to have you.
Congratulations.
Next.
Come on, you might have survived.
Everybody's got a couch.
We gotta get one of these
How about-
counselors up here.
Come on over.
special education. I spent the last 5 years working in Lawrence, and what drew me to Whittier and what made me want to work for Whittier so badly was the community and culture that has been built, and that is so widely talked about across districts, even in Lawrence. And as soon as I found out about Whittier, I was like, I would love to be part of a team, especially a well-established special education team with Christine Morrison. So I'm really happy to be here and learning from so many teachers that have so much amazing experience.
How'd you hear about this position?
Dr. Marino, Monica Marino, I worked with her husband, Russell Marino, at Phoenix. He worked there with me and he told me about Whittier, and I was a team of one, special education of one at Phoenix for about Carter for about 3 years. And I was like, it's hard to do things by yourself, especially special education. And he just told me how his wife loved Whittier and spoke so highly of Whittier. So I was like, okay, I'll apply. And I applied and now I'm here. And I'm very happy to be here. And I know I spoke like that in my interview, but yeah, Dr. Marino is why I applied. They're both Dr. Marinos, but. Thank you.
Excellent.
Well, we can do a dual guidance crew. Come on in.
Okay, so my name is Lillian Levesque. I'm a school psychologist / school counselor. My background is, I was first a school adjustment counselor for like 18, 19 years before deciding to transition to become a school psychologist. So I was in Lawrence, I was in Methuen, and now I'm here, really excited to be here. I've worked with high school students before. My stepdaughter came to Whittier, loved it. My daughter came to Whittier, loved it. They both graduated from here, so I knew this was a great place to be.
How did you hear about it?
So I just saw the opening on School Spring, and I decided to apply, so. I'm still adjusting because it's different than what I was doing before in terms of providing direct service to students.
You'll never go anywhere else.
I'm very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather C. I'm a school judgment counselor. Prior to coming here, like Andy, I came from the Gabriel Public School System. My son graduated from a tech school out in Central Mass, and I've been in love with it ever since. And these positions are hard to come by, so the bug, went around Haverhill, and I applied, and I'm very blessed and grateful that I'm here today and giving back to the population that my son thrived with. So I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you. What school you come from in Haverhill?
Yeah.
Come on over,
Good
Al.
theater school.
Come on over, Ally.
Last but not least.
Yeah.
It's actually only my 3rd year teaching. I was a Teach for America Corps member, so for the past 2 years, and I taught in Fall River. I grew up in Haverhill. My whole family lives here, so that's I wanted to move back. And like she just said, I saw the ad on School Spring and applied, and just heard, I had friends that work here and heard really good things, so I ended up here.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
There they are.
Yay.
Thank you, guys. All stock crew right here.
Of course, I have to welcome the guidance.
Yes, you do, Mr. James. Yes, you do. They did say that they have a point person now, Mr. James.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Great job, you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Mr.
Good
Early, I
luck.
actually have your grandson.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chairman. Approval of minutes.
I would like to move the approval of October 12 minutes of the regular school committee meeting.
Second.
So I'll reply back to your email.
Any discussion? Questions?
Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Noyce,
Yes.
Mr. Copinger,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
it's true.
Yes.
Okay, you. Treasurer's report. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on the treasurer's report? Okay, I'm being heard, roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Noyce.
Yes.
Ms. Copinger,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Yes.
Okay. Moving forward, old business, there is no old business posted. Reports of communications, student rep, Taylor LeBlanc.
November 9th, 2022, November School Committee Report. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and all other school committee members. Varsity football had a tough loss to Ipswich on Thursday. They will have their final home game on this Thursday against Saugus, and the final game of the season is the Thanksgiving game, which will be held at Greater Lawrence. Boys soccer concluded their season with a hard-fought game against Northeast Tech. The team battled hard but came up just short 3-1. The program continued to grow, with the JV team supporting over 20 student athletes, many which will make the jump to varsity next season. Girls soccer finished the regular season with a record of 11-4-3, winning the league for the second year in a row and had 5 players voted as CIC All-Stars. Volleyball qualified for the state tournament but fell short to Sandwich, going 3-1. They finished their season with a 13-7 overall record. Boys cross country were led by both the league state meet and the state vocational meet by an incoming freshman star. He quickly set himself apart from past freshmen by breaking Whittier's freshman records on both our home course and on the state vocational course. Girls cross country were led by an outstanding junior who won the large school state vocational cross country title this past week. She became the first ever Whittier female runner to win back-to-back state vocational cross country titles. Cheerleading has been working hard on their competition routine. We had our invitational competition and our CAC competition. We have advanced to regionals, which are this upcoming Sunday. Skills USA continues to meet up every Thursday after school. We are working to establish chapter officers and develop our program of work for the school year. We are also preparing for the Fall State Leadership Conference. Skills is also collaborating with the Multicultural Club to run the annual coat drive. GSA is looking forward to hosting the Northern Region GSA Leadership Council on December 8th. Multicultural Club recognized the end of Hispanic Heritage Month with a trivia game. We also started our My Name, My Identity campaign, where members encourage and show teachers how to pronounce their names correctly. Key Club has started filling out holiday cards for the people in the community. They will be volunteering at the Sea Festival of Trees in Salisbury on December 3rd, ringing the Salvation Army bells and working at the Breakfast with Santa in Salisbury. Interact Club is working with the Rotary Club to provide community meals on Monday, November 14th at the Citizens Center in Haverhill. Chess Club is down to the finals in our first tournament of the year. We have a steady 25 members. Student government is proud of successfully hosting a dance in October for almost 800 students. We held a fun spirit week and pep rally. In November, we are honoring our Whittier Tech veterans and thanking them for their service with a free treat at Poets. Robotics contributed to the open house on Sunday. They set up robots in the gym to represent the robotics shop and club. They had robots shooting basketballs and others moving blocks. Environmental Club has started our project of identifying tree species around the school. Once identified, we will hopefully work with the shops in school to make tree identification plaques to hang. Drama just wrapped up the coffee house event in October, and we are now working on monologues and short scenes. Art Club has about 30 students participating. We have students working on paintings, illustrations, jewelry, and pottery. DECA has 5 students getting ready for the competitions. We have 2 going for hospitality, 2 going for business ethics, and 1 doing an innovation project. Yearbook Club is making good progress with respect to photography and page layout. Yearbook staff photographers have attended all sports and visited each shop several times to capture images for the yearbook. Poetry is having a very special meeting on November 17th. They will be focusing on reading and writing stations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for Taylor?
I have a question. Have we started working on the Christmas float yet?
Yes, we have. Carpentry and art are putting it together right now.
Okay, looks great.
Yeah.
It's great. Are we
Yeah,
gonna win again?
Hopefully, it looks really good.
Of course, yeah, just early.
When's the Thanksgiving game? It's not on Thanksgiving, is it?
No, I believe
The Wednesday.
Wednesday.
The Wednesday, it's away.
Yeah, greater. Yeah,
Thank you.
yes,
Thank you for the report.
thank you.
Superintendent's report, Superintendent Lynch.
Hello. Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
You're ignoring
Tonight-
me.
Tonight before you, I have some personnel hires. So I have a teaching assistant, a medical assisting instructor, a building trades instructor, English instructor, long-term sub, and a teaching assistant for the vocational side of the house. I also have for you evening school program instructors, electrical instructor, and a CNA instructor. And then I also have before you resignations of an early education and care instructor, a guidance aide, a mathematics instructor, and an accounts payable clerk who will be retiring. Carol will be giving you an update tonight on the budget and the FY24 budget timeline. If you can believe it, it is that time of the year already. On October 3rd, in October, we had 3 math and 3 bio appeals that were submitted and all were granted. In November, on November 1st, a bio appeal and 1 ELA appeal were submitted, but we've not yet received the feedback. Today and tomorrow, 3 juniors will be taking the ELA retest, and on November 15th and 16th, we have 8 juniors who will be taking the math retest. School building update. Yesterday, we had our school building committee meeting. The building committee decided to go with a construction management versus a design build for construction. The committee felt this was the best route to go based on the current economic climate and the size of the project, as well as the ability to be as transparent as possible with our communities. On October 19th and 26th, I attended the weekly executive project meeting with Kara Cosmas, JCJ, and Left Field. We meet weekly, and usually at those meetings, they give me another list of things to do. Right, Kara? On Wednesday, October 19th, I attended the MAVA Board of Directors meeting and the general membership meeting. Our very own Jaden Craig, who is the president of Skills USA for the state of Massachusetts, was introduced to the MAVA community. On Friday, October 21st, I hosted a superintendent luncheon with the superintendents from the district. On Monday, October 24th, I attended a career technical call with the Associate Commissioner Elizabeth Bennett. On Monday, October 24th, I met with Superintendent McAndrews from Amesbury to discuss admissions. On Tuesday, October 25th, I attended the online school building committee meeting. On Thursday, October 27th, I attended Whittier's annual fall advisory board. JCJ and Left Field did a presentation on our school building project. After the large group discussion, each individual vocational area met with their own advisory team individually. On Friday, October 28th, I attended the North Shore Superintendent's Roundtable meeting at Danvers High School. This is where schools share their DEI practices and initiatives. On Wednesday, November 2nd through Friday, November 4th, I attended the MASC/MASS conference along with Kara Cosmas, Dave Irving, and Gary James. There were really some wonderful presentations and workshops, and I do believe Mr. Irving will give an update at the meeting tonight. On Sunday, November 6th, we had our open house. It was an amazing event. We really showcased our marine technology program. Students and parents were able to apply on the same day. We had over 280 applications completed that day.
Oh my
So
goodness.
there are too many people to thank, but I want to send a special shout out to Mr. Robert Hardy. He worked extremely hard and made sure things were perfect for this open house. On Monday, November 7th through today, we had our NEASC 5-year review. Mr. Leganis and I met with the team before they left today. There were many areas of strength, including our SEL strategies in the classroom and our learning loss team. Areas to continue to improve, including building issues and having teachers more involved in our advisory program. Today, I attended the Whittier weekly executive project meeting with Kara Cosmas, JCJ, and Left Field, and we are preparing for a sustainability meeting with cluster chairs and administrators next Wednesday from 2 to 4. I would like to establish a scholarship, the Jonathan Warner Memorial Scholarship. Jonathan Warner graduated from Whittier in 2004, where he learned the electrical trade. He spent his career in electrical and became a licensed journeyman and was a foreman for a local company in Local 103. He always helped those new to the union and found joy in taking apprentices under his wing. His family would like to keep this generosity, kindness, and desire to help others alive, providing those senior electrical students who get accepted into the Local 103 JATC with tools needed to enter the program. Once the family is notified by guidance as to the names and numbers of seniors accepted into the local. They will provide a 2-box with whatever these students will need, tools, books, etc., to enter the program. They're hoping that their funds will allow this to become an annual award.
Move to accept the superintendent's recommendation with gratitude.
Second, with gratitude.
Any questions or comments? Need a roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Noyce.
Yes.
Ms. Coppinger,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testerberg,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
this is true.
Yes.
Okay.
I have some field trips I would like approval for.
Okay.
Ready.
I have 4 of them, so I don't know if you want to accept all 4 under the same umbrella.
Do we want to do them collectively?
Are they similar?
3 are ski trips and 1 is a cosmetology field trip.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the first is the cosmetology. They would like to go to Londonderry, New Hampshire on November 21st, to the American Institute of Hair Color. They'll have color labs and classes. They will have juniors and seniors attending this field trip.
Is it overnight?
It is not.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Early,
Do we have the proper paperwork?
We will have it before they walk out that door.
Thank you.
The next is a few field trips. The first date is February 3rd to Pat's Peak in Henniker, New Hampshire. The second one is the first one should be the first one. This is January 6th, 23 to Pat's Peak in Henniker, New Hampshire. And then the last one is February 12th to Pico Ski Resort in Mendon, Vermont.
Move to approve all 3. Second.
Are they all day trips?
Yes.
Mr. Early,
We have the proper paperwork.
We will have the proper paperwork before they leave.
Thank you.
do we vote on that?
I believe we do.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Noyce.
Yes.
Ms. Coppinger,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testerberg.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Okay,
That is all I have. for
that's
tonight.
all. Thank you. Coordinator of Curriculum and Staff Development, Dr. Fay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the school committee. I am here for my annual academic update. Dr. Kelly Fay. I'm going to begin with English. This year, the English department had 2 days of professional development where they were able to examine particularly the grade 10 English teachers, the MCAS results. They were able to first look at the results as they were released by the state and then spend a whole other day really taking a look at how they can improve their instructional practices across the board. From there, they modified their curriculum to ensure that we were meeting the needs of our students. But they feel, as Katrina Jensen said last month in her school committee report, that we did do a significantly well job on the MCAS this year. We also are implementing Common Lit, which is a curriculum program that we purchased out of the ESSER grant last school year. The teachers were using the program in the free version, but we were able to purchase the curriculum for 6 years, and it provided professional development. So this upcoming Monday, the teachers are going to be attending a professional development during their PLC time, where they're going to learn how to really use the curriculum to meet the needs of the students. What I do not have on here is that this year we have our highest enrollment of early college students through our English program. For our Comp 101 class, we have 153 students, and for our Comp 102 class, we have 63 students. What that means is that college professors from Northern Essex come over here and they teach our students during their English period. For the first half of the year, the juniors have Comp 101, and then they will be taking psychology, and then senior year, they'll have Comp 102, and then they'll be taking sociology. So that's a very exciting opportunity for our students. In mathematics, we were very, very excited to be able to take part in a DESE, Department of Education, approved AP course for our grade 11 students. Through a grant with the Department of Ed, they are offering STEM-based AP classes free to our students online via virtual high school. The students are assigned a period here at Whittier where they have a Whittier subject matter mathematics teacher who is there to support them, but they're taught by the virtual high school students. The students are taking advanced, they had an option to take advanced advanced placement biology, advanced placement computer science principles, and advanced placement statistics. The students were either recommended by a math teacher, a science teacher, or their vocational teacher. We're offering it to juniors because of the amount of work that they have to do every week. Our seniors are out on co-op and would not have the opportunity as much. Students were introduced to it at the end of the school year. They signed a contract. We had parent meetings. We say about 10 hours they have to come in, 5 hours class time, about 5 hours homework at nighttime. But it is totally free. The materials they send us, the state sends us the lab kits, the materials, and the test is all free for our students. So it's a very exciting opportunity. In addition, we also started offering, I think it was 2 years ago, our own AP Calc class. So in total, we have 52 students enrolled in AP courses here at Whittier Tech. In science, we were lucky enough, right in the middle of COVID, to be awarded with the Massachusetts Life Science Grant. This grant was specifically for professional development for our science teachers. The department has been working to really think about how we can make that work for us and for our students. Science is a unique subject area because you have to be licensed in the course you teach. It's not just a straight English license or a math license. You're licensed biology, you're licensed chemistry, you're licensed physics. So we're working with a company, Wade. They are a wonderful science PD provider. And they're going to provide our science teachers with synchronous, which is online, face to face, like what's happening right now at the meeting, and then asynchronous where a video is recorded. So this, when they do synchronous, it's going to be the entire science department. It's something that everybody needs to know, whether it be safety. And then when it's the asynchronous, it will be the individualized sections that are based on the content area of the science teacher. All the professional development will meet the Massachusetts curriculum framework. History. Last year, with your kindness, we were able to purchase the Savant History program for our world history, our US 1, which is for freshmen, our US 2, which is for sophomores, world is for juniors. Our history department has been working hard to get their feet wet, figure out the program. On Friday, we had a half-day professional development session with the company. The way that the company rolls out their professional development is they want the teachers to play around with it a little bit, get comfortable with it, figure out what they actually have questions about, and then the professional development's a little bit more meaningful. So they've been playing around. On Friday, they were actually able to begin to get into the nitty-gritty. The program talks to our computer management system, Google Classroom. So there's some really exciting things. And it was really nice to see the teachers get excited through the process of the professional development. From here, along with, this was also grant funded through the ESSER grant, we were able to fund professional development, full day professional development for our teachers. So now we're just working out dates that work for us and for the company. World language. So this year it's very exciting. Our world language teachers came to us at the end of the school year last year and said that what they were noticing is that we had a lot of students in Spanish 1 who grew up speaking Spanish. But as you know, most of us grew up speaking English, but when we got to first grade, we didn't necessarily know how to read or write it. We could certainly speak it. That's what was happening in some of our Spanish 1 classes. There were students who really were Spanish 1 students and had never ever experienced Spanish at all. But then there were students who grew up speaking it at home, but didn't know the grammar. They didn't know how to conjugate verbs, things like that. So what we did is we decided this year to create a heritage Spanish class. And that's something that the state of Massachusetts is also pushing. So we have still Spanish 1, but we have Spanish 1 for students who this is literally their first exposure. And then we have Spanish 1 heritage for students who can speak it, but they don't know how to read, write, all the things that you really need to know to be successful and literate in Spanish.
Wonderful.
Great idea.
So vocational, real quick, vocational technical education frameworks for the last couple of years. The state is updating the vocational side. There's a long list on my next slide of the vocational technical frameworks that are getting updated. The state released in October for public vetting. So what they did is they released their frameworks as they are written. We have many teachers who have sat on the committees, either vocational teachers for the content area. We've even had many academic teachers sit on the vocational frameworks to add input for English, science, math. So it's been really exciting. There was a public comment period, and right now as we speak, the DSE is reviewing the public comments to make tweaks where they see fit, I guess. And then they will go to the commissioner in December for a vote, with hopefully the final posting in January 2023. Once that happens, these are the following frameworks that will be updated. So then I actually have already written into our ESSER grant to update the vocational frameworks once they were released. So it'll be carpentry, dental assisting, health assisting, HVAC, information support, medical assisting, metal fab, programming and web, strand 5, which is management and entrepreneurship. Every technical area takes that. Strand 6, which is technology skills. Every vocational area takes that as well. Once they are fully approved and vetted, we will begin our process of implementing it into our frameworks. Okay, learning loss. So this is year 2 of learning loss. Again, it's another thing funded out of our ESSER grants. What obviously through COVID, our students really struggled, some more than others. And the state really pushed acceleration rather than remediation. Let's take the students and push them forward. Let's not waste our time figuring out what they missed, because they're still going to be lacking behind. So we'll be focusing our time on what they missed, and then they'll be missing right in what we're doing right now. So we're accelerating them. We have 5 learning loss coordinators that work for the entire school, and they meet every other week with the administrative team. And as Ms. Lynch has said, it is one of the most exciting meetings that we have in the school, because we actually get to talk about teaching. We get to talk about students. We get to talk about how we're helping them. I'm going to talk a little bit about it in my next slide, but they introduced to the staff an app called Paper, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. It's very exciting. But in addition to that, they've created a referral system for students who are in need academically. So their process, and we're going to be kicking it off on Monday because our term closed and report cards are issued for term 1 tomorrow, if you can believe it. So we're going to work with the learning loss and the academic teachers and the vocational teachers to help them one in their subject matter. Then the guidance counselors are also involved, and then the learning loss coordinators are going to also be available to help the students after school. Okay, paper. This is very exciting. Ms. Lynch was at a conference and saw this online tutorial program. And again, we were able to fund it out of the ESSER grants. It is a 24/7 tutorial program for our students. The students can receive tutoring in English, math, or French 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they need an additional language, they just go into the system and they say, I need Portuguese or I need Mandarin. And they will tell them when a tutor is available. This program works in a chat format. So as we know, students sometimes work late at night. It could be 11 o'clock and they're at home finally beginning to do their homework and they're stuck. They can log into this computer program and chat to a vetted tutor and ask them, I'm not really whatever question it happens to be, I'm not understanding this. The tutor does not give them the answer. They guide them to come up with the answer. What did your teacher tell you? What have you learned so far? So the students are able to get the help that they need. They could chat with the tutor for 5 minutes if they need to. They can share their computer screen and do the math on the side. It is a really wonderful program. What it is also wonderful, not only for the students, it's also wonderful for the teachers, because now the teachers can also use the program to help them when it comes to teaching their students. An English teacher can say to the class, what I want everybody to do tonight is I want you to load in your essay into paper and get it scored by them. And then that will be your first draft. And then when you come back to school tomorrow, we can work together to move forward with the edits. So it's able to meet our students' needs, and it's helping the teachers and the students. They also help students with college essays, cover letters, resumes. For an essay, it's about a 48-hour turnaround that they tell them, but they really give them very thorough, thoughtful responses. And we have some teachers that have actually loaded their own work in to see how this will work. And they too have felt like it was really good feedback to help the students without telling them. It's guiding them. In addition, Mr. Leganis, Christine Morrison, and our assistant principals are also listed as emergency contacts. If a tutor ever feels that a student is not safe, if a student is late at night chatting something into the system, they have their phone numbers to immediately call them. So again, we're taking care of our students in every way that we possibly can. Okay, as Maureen said, we finished our NEASC 5-year focus visit today. NEASC is our accreditation, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. Every 10 years, they accredit high schools. We are a member of the CTCI Commission, which is Career and Technical Education. They come out 5 years after their decennial visit to check on the recommendations that were made and to see where we are. So that's what we just went through. A team of 4 people came out and they came Monday, they left today. They met with students, they met with vocational teachers, they met with academic teachers, they met with administrators. They toured the building. They had a wonderful time. Some even said they wanted to work here. They loved it so much. So it was a lot of work, but I think we did okay, as Ms. Lynch said. So I'm very happy that it's over.
Yeah, I just want to chime in. Kelly Fay did a lot, if not most of the work for this and getting prepared. And she really worked very, very hard to make sure that this went off very well. And it did. It went off very well. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. And the final thing for today is professional development. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right. Were the people who came in, was the team from vocational education?
Yes, everybody was from vocational education, some local. The chair was from Connecticut. 2 were on our decennial visit. So it was actually really nice for them to come back and really see the and see the differences. You know, it was interesting because you have to do a 2-year follow-up. So they come at the 10-year, they make their recommendations. 2 years later, we need to just report to them. We reported in the fall of 2019, and then literally the world shut down. So I would have initially said we probably didn't do a lot because of that, but we actually did. It was amazing to actually see all the recommendations that they made. From advanced manufacturing had just been finished. We hadn't even built allied health yet. We hadn't redone our HVAC shop. So there were a lot of great things that we were still able to do, even though the world was in a worldwide pandemic.
Good. Good.
All right, last thing, professional development. This year, we have had actually at this point 3 half days. 2 were solely geared to professional development, and Maureen made the suggestion of doing it in the carousel format, which actually worked out amazingly. So the teachers rotated throughout the building. Every teacher was broken into clusters, and they rotated through 4 different areas on the first half day, and then 4 different areas of the second half day. Was about 20 minutes a session. You would think that might not be enough time, but the feedback from the teachers was that it was perfect. It was succinct. They were able to get to what they needed to get, find out the information they needed to find, and they were able to move. There was movement built in throughout the day. So that was, it really turned out very well. We focused on tiered systems of support for our students, and it was ironically presented by the 3 new adjustment counselors and one that wasn't here that you met today. So it was really great for them to just hop right on board and right in, and the teachers really liked it. Skills USA, we went through the learning loss team, as I talked about before. They presented both days on the paper tutorial program. The first one was a rollout of the system. Then the teachers had a week where they got to play with it, and then they came back the following week and got to ask questions and figure things out. So that was really good. Our DEI team talked to the staff about supports that we have for our students. We did have to do an ask day on just kind of preparing them for what was going to be happening. And then our GSA club also was able to present on the supports and taking good care of our students, because that's our mission of our school this year. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Ellie, I have a question. On the regard to the advanced placement classes, we're
Yes.
doing the English and then they get the social, political, or whatever it was that you said. We know that they get AP or college credit for the English. Do they get college credit for the second half?
Yes.
They do.
Yes, so they're getting, they leave here, if they do the whole thing, they're definitely getting 4 classes of college credit. Last year, through a grant that the college had, we were actually able to have a public speaking class at the end of like May to the end of the school year. So they actually, the seniors had a college public speaking class as well. So those students will, without a doubt, leave with 5 classes under their belt.
So, and the second half of the class is also presented by the
Yes.
the college professor.
Yes, Northern Essex is the professor. We are there just to support the students because they're not here every day. They only come 2 or 3 days a week. So the rest of the time, our staff is in the room helping the students, reminding them, don't forget this is due. And because of the system that we have set up, Northern Essex has said that we have one of the most, if not the most successful graduation rates of the schools that do early college because of the format that we provided in.
I think you noted that at graduation. I think Chris said we had quite a few of those students who had college credits that were already.
Yes, Chris just started last year or maybe the year before, having them stand up at graduation and be recognized. So it's a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you.
Mr. Early.
What is strand 5 and strand 6?
So strand 5 is management and entrepreneurship. So every technical area in the school has to teach their students management and entrepreneurship, so that if they ever decide they want to become a business owner, they have kind of those skills in the background of how to successfully run a business. And then technical, strand 6 is technical skills. So the technical skills, computer wise and things like that, that they need to be successful in their trade area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
No, I just wanted to comment. I think we're doing, Kelly and the crew is just doing a phenomenal job on introducing new and innovative techniques that are able to help the students, and we're not dealing with what's in the past. We're really going forward and keeping up and doing it under some pretty difficult circumstances, because we're just getting back to some kind of normality. So really a good job.
Yeah, and it's the teachers too. It's the superintendent. Maureen has these visions and I say we're good soldiers. Like she has an idea, we're gonna get it done. And then the teachers, the teachers are the ones doing the work. We're just helping in any way that we can.
I was walking to the vendors at the conference.
Mhm.
And as soon as the paper representative saw me, he told me how thrilled they are to have us on board with them.
It's a free lunch bag.
Yeah. And I got a free lunch bag.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, they saw that tags. They grabbed me.
And a cookie.
It really is an exciting.
yeah, they were thrilled.
Any other questions? Mr. Noyce?
Yes, in terms of the learning loss, you say that teachers can recommend the kids or the kids can recommend themselves.
Yes.
Has that been going on for a while? And
So this new form that I was specifically talking about will officially be rolled out on Tuesday, because term 1 just closed today. This morning, teachers had to put in their grades by 9 a.m. Report cards are issued tomorrow, and then we begin term 2. So we'll know the students grade wise, report card wise from term 1, who will then need the additional support. The teachers clearly have known who's needed support through the year, and all of our teachers have extra help after school, and some of our teachers have tutoring built into their schedule to help students who need it. So they've been meeting the needs of the students, and the learning loss team has been meeting with kids, but now this is going to be a concrete with the guidance department, with learning loss, with the teachers, so that we're adding an additional layer of support for the kids.
I would just be interested to see how many kids recommend themselves,
Oh, sure.
you know.
Sir.
Dr. Fay, on the accreditation team visitation, were they pleased with the recommendations that have been,
So
testified to or
if I
corrected? Or
can say, the chair said to me that this was one of the best visits she's ever been on. And she said she's done 10.
I wasn't paid to say that either, or ask.
No, I know, and I don't want to see my.
No, that's
or
a
whatever, but
big
that's
deal.
what she said. And she said it was the most well-written report, the most organized structure for the visit. So I do think that they were happy. I do think we were able to meet many of the recommendations. There's certainly recommendations that we as a school don't want, because it is a team coming out and kind of making their own, they're teachers in other schools. So sometimes you find that someone will make a recommendation of something that's happening in their own school, and they think, oh, you guys should try this, but for us, it's not gonna work.
You
And
kinda
we have
deny
the
it.
power to say, no, we're gonna reject
You can
that.
deny it, reject it out of hand. I was gonna say, for edification of everyone else here, most high schools have well over 100 recommendations after a visiting team goes through on their decennial visit. So I'm sure we've,
Yeah, I
done
don't
very well.
think we were at 100.
No, I know a lot of schools average
Yes.
at least around 100 recommendations, so I'm sure we did well.
We had quite a few, but we were able to, a lot of them, like Maureen said earlier, Bob Hardy's team was really, and the maintenance team were really able to handle a lot of the building ones. There were quite a few, and they were all done. They were all done and taken care of. Kevin Williams, there was a lot of it was interesting, because like I said, they came right before COVID, they came in 2017. There were a lot of technology recommendations that just through COVID in our one-to-one program, we were able to meet them because we were forced to do technology. And Kevin and Maureen and Chris had already created the support system, and really Kara as well, for us to be able to fund the technology that we needed and provide students and staff with even hotspots for the students who didn't have technology at home. But so I think we really had systems in place that were able to meet the needs.
In regard to the building situation, because we're in the midst of a building situation, how did they react to that? Was that a positive thing? Did they, what were their comments in regard to that situation?
So Chris and I met with the chair at the end of the day. So there were no comments really about the building. There was more comments about the overcrowding, that, you know, we're full. The place is full. Their comments were, I think, a couple times I said, I'm not sure, can you give me an example? I think some of it was, you know, you spoke to one teacher who said, well, this is an issue, but it might have been an issue for one teacher, but wasn't an issue for another, kind of a thing. But the commendations were very much about how we take care of our kids, how there's great social emotional learning, that we have a fantastic group of teachers that are really working hard to meet the needs of our kids. All of those things were very complimentary. Things that we need to work on. Our advisory, there's some teachers that don't feel comfortable with advisory, and working through some curriculum kinds of things with them on that. And then the vocational side of the house wants their kids all the time, and we do pull our kids out for tutoring. So, you know, but I think we've spent a lot of time in the last few years streamlining that piece of it. So we keep getting better, right? We keep finding a way to make things a little bit better. So those were some of the kind of comments. As far as the building, there weren't any other than we are crowded. We are crowded. We are full.
I think if you could convey and congratulate the staff and administration.
Right, as soon as we get our
for all the
final.
hard work that they've been doing.
Right, as soon as we get our final report, we did have a staff meeting today, and we did report out what they had told us, but certainly once we get our report, and Mr. Leganis is the biggest cheerleader around, and he really did a great job thanking everybody for the work today. Because, you know, Kelly did the yeoman's most of the work, but, you know, culinary had we did gifts from carpentry, you know, it's a big project, and the Whittier family kind of took care of it. So it was really a nice visit.
Very good.
Mr. Rose.
We probably got a few recommendations on the building or the facilities, but were they pretty impressed with the facility?
I think they are overall. There were recommendations initially about the building. You know, the greenhouse came up. Different things about just in areas, sound, you know, some of our shops are close together, so it's difficult for one technical area, or they felt like it was a little difficult for one technical area with the sound of the other technical area, things.
So how would they grade you on something
Well,
like
we
that?
were able to address that one because we got the skills capital grant and were able to.
So this is from a prior one, okay.
Yeah, so what they were doing is they were coming in and looking to see what we've done so far. As I said, Bob really has been able to take care of a lot of the building things that came up, whether it was ventilation in the locker room. There were little things that just came up that he was able to say, yeah, we took care of that. We did that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We fixed that. We have to revisit that. So
I think there's a big difference, right? The decennial visit is when you have about 25 to 30 people in the building, viewing every vocational technical area, spending a day or two in each vocational area, as well as walking around and meeting with teachers. This was kind of a quick one. There were only 4 people. that visited every technical area, met with administrators, met with teachers, met with kids, and met with teachers, kids, not the administration. So this was kind of a quick, where are we at? And I think what I'm most proud of, because we can kind of throw 2 years out the window, right, with COVID, between bringing everybody back and not being in school, that we were still able to beat all the
Progress.
recommendations, do what we were supposed to do, and on top of that, improve what was already things that we wanted to work on. So it was a very good visit, but
How about
if we're gonna get a
handicap?
lot of detail, we're not gonna get a lot of detail in this report.
How about the handicap accessibility from a couple years ago when they talked about it?
I mean, one of their recommendations was to make the school ADA compliant, but clearly there are things that we can do and things that we can't do. So that was a recommendation made at the decennial.
Thank you.
I have one more question. In regard to the fact that we are going to be building something, it's going to be changed. How do they address that? I mean, are they telling us to make changes in a building that we know we're going to be making changes in?
They know that we're in the pipeline. They know
Okay.
that we're a part of the pipeline. I mean, I think really at this point, we're beyond NEASC because we are already in feasibility. A lot of schools will work with NEASC to get into this stage, but we're already there. We've already kind of gone through those steps, and the NEASC report probably helped us to get to this point, but yeah, we're kind of beyond the NEASC report at this point.
We said that, we said that throughout the report. We're in the pipeline, we're working towards it. We told them the different stages that we've done and where we are now. So they're aware of that, and that's how we address some of the things that they said we needed to do. We said we'll be done through this process.
Yeah.
I assume they visit academic areas also.
Yes.
When do we get the report from this visit?
She said that she has to finish her part, and that would be right before Thanksgiving, so she thinks, and then they vote on it, the NEASC commission, which Kelly is a commissioner. So I think we're looking at the beginning of the year.
They had two-year reports too, don't they?
This is the 5, and then I don't think our next one's for another 5, or is it 2, 5,
Yeah.
the big one.
An update, 2-year letter.
Yeah,
though?
and maybe we'll be in a school
I would.
or have a renovation,
Yeah,
one of the two.
in another 5 years, we probably will have our renovations done, which will keep our fingers crossed for.
Any more questions for Dr. Fay?
I have a couple.
Lisa?
Okay. I think the Heritage Spanish program is wonderful. Because the kids are coming into the course study from different areas, so it's great that we're able to accommodate those that grew up with the language and those that have not.
Oh, yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that's brilliant. The other question that I had was the 4 teachers that were hired for the learning loss. That's pretty much, stuff that happened during COVID. And they were hired through a grant. So what's going to happen down the road when the kids, are in school all the time? We're not really having the remote learning due to pandemic issues. The grant money runs out. Do we still keep the 4 teachers? Is there a need for the 4 teachers? Do we reassess it at some point?
If I can just jump in, it's a stipend position. So there already are teachers. The stipend is from the ESSER grant. And that's one of the things we really tried to make sure of, because we know that this grant is eventually not going to be here forever, that we didn't put positions in there that we weren't going to be able to keep within our budget. We're hoping, and I think we have 1 more year left of the ESSER grant. After that, we hopefully won't need learning loss coordinators. Although again, like Kelly said, I've attended, I think, almost every meeting they've had this year. It's the best meeting because you're really you're taking a deep dive into teaching and learning and how we can move our kids forward from the last few years. So it's a stipend position. So again, hopefully we won't need it after next year, but we do have funds available for next year. And that was the other reason why we looked at paper. Because that was a cost. We're using ESSER grant money to see if it's a worthwhile thing to eventually put into our budget. But this was an opportunity for us to use the ESSER money to use the paper app.
I think that's wise. It was wise to go that route. Give it a
And
shot.
this team, if you can recall last year, when I presented, we talked a lot about the low reading levels of our students. It was this learning loss team that brought it to the forefront. We had meetings with Chris and Maureen and Katie Jensen and myself, and really shed light on what they were seeing in the classroom. So they have been instrumental in moving us forward. As for the Heritage Spanish, that was the Spanish teacher. They came forward and said, can we do this? Because this is what we're seeing. So they saw the need, they came to us, we worked with them and got it done. But again, that was the teachers.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Ron, do you have a question?
I just want to make a comment, and it was very informative, well put together presentation. So,
Very good.
Thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you.
Director of Technology and Information, Kevin Williams.
no, I'm not him. Kevin, you changed.
Bet you he wishes you were.
Nobody's on.
So I had to show Kelly how to push the buttons to make the things move. I'm good. Well, Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the school committee. I am Kevin Williams, Director of Technology and Information Systems. And I'm here for my annual visit. I don't just sit in the corner and run Zoom meetings. So happy to be here. Knowing that we have a lot of new members, I thought it would be an opportunity here to kind of do a refresher about some of the things that we do in IT and technology here at Whittier Tech. I myself is my 12th year here at Whittier Tech. I came from healthcare and hospitals with IT director for 21 years. But I have a degree in music. So I have a certification back in the day for that sort of thing. So I kind of have that hybrid approach, if you were, both the liberal arts and technology. Actually, my anniversary here at Whittier Tech was 3 days ago. So into my 12th year.
Congratulations.
So I'm glad to have you back. We have been, as you've heard before, a one-to-one school with iPads since 2014. And prior to that, we spent a whole year and a half training our teachers on how to use that technology. So as Ms. Bay mentioned, when we hit the pandemic, it really, we were in such a great place that we actually had to tell our teachers, whoa, slow down a little bit, because they were so comfortable with it and our students were too. And that's a great tribute, I think, to our teachers who really took that on, the tool, all the way back in 2014. My department supports over 700 applications and systems here. As a vocational school, we have a little bit of everything. I mean, we literally have 4 different point of sale systems to support, just in terms of that. We have a restaurant one, a store one, a salon one, automotive one. Each one of them is a different animal. And that's just a small sample of some of the things that we have to support. Never mind some of the equipment that runs a 3-ton metal press. You know, it's a wide and varied environment. It makes for a challenging time sometimes. We have about 2,300 devices under management across just about every major application or OS that's available out there. And we do it all with 4 full-time equivalents, myself, a network manager, a help desk person, and our lovely Mr. Pacelli, who we've seen now a couple of times today, come out and do this. As a review with our iPads, we started again in 2014 with grade 9 and 10, and then every year we added on. We buy a new device for every 9th grader as they come in. They keep that device for their entire 4 years until they graduate. When they come back in, we then take them, trade them into a recovery service. Then we take some of that money and bring it back into the budget to then help fund the next one. Although 4 years of depreciation is certainly something that takes that in. As the devices are handed out, we actually hand configure every single device for a student so that their out-of-box experience, when they're handed their iPad as they walk in as a freshman, it is their iPad with their accounts, their email, their apps, everything done for them. So they don't have to struggle through, oh, I forgot to set the backup on my notes program and now my iPad crashed and I lost everything for 3 years. We do that before it's even handed to them. It's been a different process over the years as the tools have gotten better, and now we've got it down to we can probably do somewhere in the range of 50 to 80 iPads a day between the crew of us, as we have 40 of them in our office, and we just go around in circles around tables. It's almost like a comedy show. The devices are configured and locked down individual students. These are what we give the students now for the past 3 years. We've been lucky enough that Apple has stayed with this generation of iPad long enough that this case has been available 3 years in a row. Many times it's the device you had the year before, you just can't buy anymore. And so we have to go and find a different case and pick a different option. So you can see they have a full keyboard. They use this to take their MCAS exams, their own devices. And so they get the best of both worlds. They can draw, they can take photos, they can take movies, they can create different types of content. And then they can also just flip it out and type when they need to. So it really kind of crosses the divide across all the different modalities and helps students really make their learning personal, because some might write a great essay and others might make a great movie, and it still demonstrates the same learning, right? It's just a different way of showing what they're doing. Teachers use the iPad Airs with Apple Pencils and MacBook Airs, and they use AirPlay to Apple TVs connected to displays in all the classrooms. So they literally all have a virtual whiteboard in their hand. The math teachers, when we switched to this so many years ago, thought they had died and gone to heaven. Imagine having an infinite whiteboard. They can just write equations all day long and never have to erase anything. And then for students who need those notes because of special ed or whatever else, they literally are a couple taps away from saving it and emailing it or putting it into the Google Classroom and having those students have it. So it's really been a transformational way how teachers deliver some of that content over the years since 2014. So that's kind of a big overview of the iPad one-to-one program. Over the past couple of years, we have had some major application install and replacement projects here. Really the core of the systems that run the school from an academic standpoint. Mostly in 2020, as we got kicked out of school, we were just starting our SIS replacement. We replaced an old system and moved into Power School. So in 2020, we replaced the school information system. We replaced the special education system with the Power School module. We replaced the teacher evaluation system with the Power School system. We also installed a ClassLink integration system, which lets us in IT really connect our information from our SIS to things like automatically creating all the Gmail accounts, automatically rostering all the kids in paper, and in some of the other apps that Ms. Fay and Ms. Jensen talked about earlier, tonight and last month type of deal, really helping us to integrate that data so that when something changes in one place, 7 people don't have to hand change it in 14 other places, because that was some of our problem before. A student would change their home phone number and I would have to send an email to 7 different people to update up to 14 applications by hand. That never happens anymore. You get a new phone number, it gets changed, it gets to every place. And if the next day is a snow day, when we make that call, it goes to the new number. Speaking of that, we moved to School Messenger as our mass notifications, and that was all in 2020, but the fun wasn't done yet. In 2021, we continued along our path, installing Power School admissions returning system. So our students, they apply and go to CTE, a product that was created by a former vocational superintendent. They do all that application. When they're accepted, they have an invite into this system where then they load in and type in all their demographic info. What's your address? What's your phone number? Who are your contacts? What are the medical conditions? Are you interested in fall sports or an activity when you come here in August, September? And that's what this system does. And it allows us to take that information, move it right into the SIS without anybody having to hand type a bunch of papers being brought in from students. We also use this same system at the beginning of the year for all the returning students. Here's the information you gave us last year. Has anything changed? If it has, fix it. If it hasn't, great. And it really eliminates all that data entry. It's not perfect. Not everybody fills it out. We still have to chase, pieces of paper around on students, but it greatly reduces the amount of manual effort that goes along, and it's much cleaner. It's the parent themselves making the entry, and we just have to supervise it. Performance Matters from Power School is a student assessment system. We've been working the rollout. One of the great things about this tool is it mimics the tools that the students have to use in the MCAS in terms of electronic tests. It also does other things like we load in all the students' MCAS scores from grade 3 to whenever we have it. And it allows teachers to see their whole history of what they did in performance scores across the board. Same if they take SATs or PSATs, we get those scores, we upload it in so teachers can see how students who took those exams are in there. And lastly, we also installed PowerSchool Schoology, which is kind of a LMS Google Classroom on steroids, where again, it ties in with the Performance Matters to be able to deliver tests, but it also lets them, if they want to, even build fully featured self-paced modules if they wanted to, almost like a self-paced learning module if they want to go as far as that, or they just use it to share content, get turned in information, all that sort of thing. And these are all integrated under the same umbrella so that, again, when data is changed in one place, it flows through the other, which is not the world we lived in up until the past couple of years. And that was just in 2 years we did all this stuff. So a lot of work. We've been slowly consolidating our gains over the past couple of years because it's all new. We used our old system for about 12 to 15 years. And lots of new things, new habits, new things had to be learned. But I don't think anybody would want to go back to what we had before. In terms of infrastructure here at Whittier Tech, I came from healthcare 24/7, literally, like I literally would have phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning saying the CD burner on the CAT scanner is broken and somebody's getting on the helicopter. What should I do? You don't get those calls here anymore, but those experiences really helped me to build and learn how to build systems here. We have redundant services for Wi-Fi networking, internet server virtualization using clustering. Our wired and wireless networks are actually physically separate all the way through the building to the core, from the fiber to the concentrators, all the way down, so that when I need to troubleshoot something, I know it's one way or the other. All our infrastructure is backed up with point UPSs supported by emergency power. So one of the stories I like to tell is there was a telephone pole that got knocked down. We lost power in the building. We're getting ready to send students home because there was no lights and everything else. They're all sitting in the classrooms in the dark on Wi-Fi on the internet because it was all still running because it's backed up by a generator and the battery and everything else. And whatever they hit didn't take the fiber off the pole somewhere, wherever it was. And we've moved over time to cloud-based services for all our major systems, whether it's the SIS or it's the financial system, Gmail, all those things. It takes that responsibility of running those services and protecting those services in the environment that we now all live in. It moves it to places where instead of one person worrying about email, Google has 10,000 engineers worrying about it, right? Same with our SIS and other systems out there as well. And outside of that, we also do plenty of other miscellaneous functions between myself, Mr. Pacelli, and some other folks. We're responsible for a lot of the web and social media design and content updates, all the websites we write and design, a lot of the content we create, the imagery that goes there, print, web, and video marketing content. We do a lot of that stuff in our world as well. And like this, audio and video production, live streaming of these events, graduation, all these other events. So we kind of have our fingers in lots of different areas, some outside the traditional IT world, but it certainly keeps it interesting. I, as always, can't do any of this alone. I've actually had huge turnover in my staff after 10 years of basically being the same team. 2 of these 3 people haven't been here even a whole year. Connor LaHiff is my desktop manager. Joe Fitzpatrick is doing my help desk stuff. And of course, Mr. Pacelli, we all know and love, has been around and really has helped us a lot, using the library as a central function for students to arrive, starting when it was COVID, to keep people out of the IT office and continuing along with that. So he can be a first level of contact with students as they might need help with the iPad or whatever else. So he's really come, and again, he and I do a lot of the social media and video and all those other things. So he's come a long way in learning IT systems as well. Whether or not he liked it, that's a different story. So that's all I have for this. If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
Kevin, I have a question in
Yeah.
regard to the live streaming.
Mhm.
I know when we had graduation,
Mhm.
you were up there doing something. Where did it go? Did it go to people's computers?
So we live stream to YouTube because it's the most ubiquitous system for people to grab a hold of. We actually ran a backup stream using our Pixelot system, which is a system that live streams any of the games that happen in the stadium. But that's where we do that sort of work. Then Mr. Pacelli takes a lot of the other cameras that you may see. He produces a bespoke graduation video that then integrates a lot more things, and then we publish that separately. But the live stream has been wildly successful, really starting with COVID, but it gives people an opportunity who may not be able to travel, et cetera, to still partake in that really momentous event for our students.
Can the parents see like football games?
Yes, yes. We subscribe to a system from Pixelot from NFHS as part of the MIAA. We put that system in again during the COVID years, once sports started back. And so if it happens in the gym or it happens on the stadium, not the basket, not the baseball field, not the upper fields, but those other two systems, it's an automated system that literally tracks the game by software. It's kind of freaky. But it works, and it allows people who might not be able to get out of work at 3:30 in the afternoon to come and watch the kids' games.
Do the parents get information on how to do this?
Yes. Yeah. And there's a subscription page they can join. We actually, the Whittier District pays a small fee so that the parents don't have to pay for a subscription. The only things they have to pay for was we make any state tournament games, then the MIAA owns those games and they pay a small fee to get a subscription for a month to watch those games. The coaches automatically get a video. The students can get request copies of the video. So if you're looking for recruitment information, videos and stuff, sometimes some of our students sometimes grab that as well. So
If they weren't able to watch it while it was live,
it's available for video on
for
demand.
later?
Yep.
So the parents can actually see the kids' games almost all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Mr. Early.
Yeah, during the open house, a lot of people were outside watching the Jumbotron. Jumbotron was going and a lot of people were out there watching that. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Mr. P does a ton of work with that.
I love that job.
I'm not sure that love would be the word, but it's it's a system we do manage, and it does allow us to do some great things. We love, we're able to pipe now video live. If you've been here at graduation, we're piping live video from a camera we have or cameras we have, and we pipe it up to the thing. So now you can see a close up of your student as they cross the thing, as opposed to looking at the tiny person on the far side of the field. So it does make it a nice tool. Nice tool.
Any more questions?
Kelly wore you all down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal's report, Mr. Legares.
Is he still here?
It's a fax to follow that. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, once again, Ms. Lynch, Superintendent Lynch, and rest of the school committee. First of all, to answer your question, Greater Lawrence, it is away at 6 o'clock, the 23rd, that Wednesday.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, I walked over there to do a little security. As you heard, open house was Sunday, and how successful it was from 1 to 4. Very well attended, as you know, it was 75 plus degrees that day, so we were a little worried that we were not going to get the crowds, but that was
They were here.
They were here. It wasn't true. And only the 8th graders and their families from the district were sent invitations for the open house. It was packed. Academic displays in the cafeteria, the vocational shop interactive presentations were big. I had my own son here when he was only here for a little bit, but he was flying the drones, which was pretty neat. I was doing it too. And then, it was our opportunity to showcase both academic and vocational offerings, and we sure did. Our new Marine Tech program was the featured display. And again, thanks that goes out to Bob's crew, also Amanda Crosby and Paul Muskovitz, our two vocational coordinators and all the vocational areas, all the staff for just putting on a special day that day. Also outside, Mr. Early, that Jumbotron was amazing, and it was, again, 75 degrees, people watching the Jumbotron. And then, as you heard Superintendent Lynch say, that day, 270 plus 8th grade students signed up November 6th.
Already one.
Not bad. So great day. Middle school tours began yesterday. Triton came through the door. And tomorrow we have Hillview, and then we have Georgetown, Constantino, Rupert Knox, that's Newburyport, JG Whittier, sorry, Amesbury, Pawtucket, Nettle, Ipswich, Hunking, all through, this month, next month, as Mr. James knows, and right before, we're trying to finish those, that the guidance will finish those before winter break. First quarter is over. Report cards are issued through Power School tomorrow. Our student government tomorrow will be making announcements early in the morning. It's great to hear from the kids, honoring our veterans that are in the building, in recognition, of staff members that have served our beautiful country. And as well as we're recognizing tomorrow because we have Friday, we have a no school day for Veterans Day. Parents night, academics only, is Thursday, pencil that in, Thursday, November 17th from 5:30 to 7:30. We're also working on some of the events that will happen before earlier like we had, and those will be announced very shortly. Whittier continues its commitment to safety. And we had our first all-school practice Alice drill a couple weeks ago. Again, as we know, Mother Nature's been really cooperative with us. It was a beautiful day that day, but all the kids and the staff, everybody reacted properly. We intend to keep that going. We also, Superintendent Lynch, myself, we also had a safety meeting with our safety team yesterday. In the meeting, we discussed safety protocols and ways to always enhance our safety. We do not forget about safety of this building for our children and our staff. The Booster Club, thanks goes out to Janice McNulty, Heather Russo, and the rest of the crew, continuing their efforts to make money for our student athletes. They wanted me to tell you the Snack Shack is open tomorrow night. It will be open for tomorrow's football game at 6 against Saugus. I don't think there's going to be a pie. There's no pie fundraisers because I'd be advertising it now because I think the pies are too expensive. So it's not conducive to a fundraiser for them. So if you're thinking about that pie, which I think about the apple pies that I love, they're not going to be coming around. But Booster Club, they've been going strong and I thank them for all that. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Any questions for principal?
Thank you. Thank you. They wore you guys out.
Business manager, Kara Cox.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the committee. In your packet, you have, believe it or not, the FY '24 budget calendar. This is the best time of year for me. I'm finishing up the 22 audit. I'm working in 23 and I start on 24. There are days I don't know what year I'm in. So just briefly to go over this, in November, we start talking about the budget process. In late November, early December, I get the documents out to the cluster chairs and the administrators, and they put in their initial budget requests. The month of December, just before we break, we meet with the superintendent, the principal, managers, and we, refine some of the budget requests. And then in January and February, we have meetings with the executive subcommittee on where we think the budget will be. And in March, at our March school committee meeting, we have a full meeting with the committee where they adopt the preliminary budget. We advertise about the middle of March for our public hearing because we have to make sure that we do that at least 7 days before our school committee meeting. And then usually at our April school committee meeting, we have the public hearing and we adopt the budget. The only caveat this year is usually we get budget numbers around the end of January. As you know, we have a new governor, and the new governor usually has an additional 3 to 4 weeks to deliver a budget. So it will be interesting to see when the budget numbers come out, but hopefully we'll have everything in time so that we have everything that we need to know at our March meeting for all of you. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
How are we financially?
Excellent, Mr. Early. You know that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
are you looking for a vote on the FY '23 budget calendar?
looking for a motion.
I would like to make that motion.
Second. Any discussions, questions?
Just it goes along with it. Are we all gonna Monday the 10th? That we usually done it. If the 12th is public hearing. Monday would be the 10th of April for reorg.
Oh, I haven't even looked at that.
They usually go hand in hand.
Yeah. I get back to you at the,
Yeah, it's not a big, it's just usually we do a couple of days before the actual school committee on that Wednesday, the 12th.
we did it last year on the same day.
We did.
so it was
Which is,
one
that's,
day.
that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
But we'll get the schedule. Any questions? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Noyce.
Yes.
Mr. Copinger.
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Mr. Jane.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Drew.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Thank you very much.
you. Committee chairperson. There are no December annual agenda items. Subcommittee reports, executive. We have not met. I don't think we need a meeting at this point. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testaverde.
We did meet and we met on. What was the date? October 26th. And we had a presentation from Miss Jensen. And we learned about paper, which we were excited about then and we're still excited about. And Dr. Fay and Ms. Jensen presented the materials as provided in your meeting notes. And I don't think we need another meeting, but we do need a vote to accept these minutes.
Move to accept.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Roll call vote, Mr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Noyce.
Yes.
Ms. Copinger.
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
And Ms. Drew.
Yes.
Okay. Plan operations, Mr. Tucker.
Has not met.
Okay. Salary negotiations, Mr.
I
Early.
believe we're gonna be needing something soon.
Yeah, it can wait till after the first of the year.
It's even better.
Yes.
Okay. Policy, Mr. Irving.
Yes, we met this evening with an exhaustive list of new policy that come before the committee. The superintendent and Lisa will be reviewing it, and I believe some of the policies we have questions on, so they're going to have a legal review, and then we'll bring them back. They will be in your packet for the December meeting, and these will require probably 2 readings. So if you have a chance, I know it's gonna be a little boring, but just at least go through it and see what they're about. So we have some knowledge when we take a vote in December. So I believe that's it.
Okay. There we go, school committee.
We will need to be, excuse me, we will need some time, I assume, before the next meeting.
Yeah, so why don't we do 5:45 again?
Okay,
Or would you rather 6? Do you think we could do it in a half an hour?
No.
Okay.
No,
how much time do you think we need?
she said 5:45. So what is it, the 14th?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
I just think there's so much. I think I'd
Well-
rather have more time than be.
And some of
Try
it's
and get
like
through it.
documentation or just a little bit of changes from a policy we already have, or other things have been recommended that we adopt in total, so it might not be as bad as if Lisa can ever figure it out. Get it in order. It's kind of complex. We thought we had this done. We did a lot of policy last year, and we thought after the summertime that we wouldn't be seeing policy. Then I believe there's somebody at MESC that needs to keep their job, so they keep finding things to do and sending it to us. So anyway, thank you.
All right, meeting dates, we have the regular school committee meeting at 6:30, December 14th, and at 5:45, the policy meeting. New business, we do have new business. Mr. Irving is going to give us a report on the MASC convention that was held in Miami.
All right, we I'll make it as brief as possible. The MASC, MASS, and that's for new members. It's Massachusetts Association of School Committees, which we're a member of, and also Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, which superintendent is a member of. And they work jointly and collaboratively. They come up with different legislations they need, a recommendation for legislation, and they make presentations. And this year, as you can imagine, they did a lot of talk about post-pandemic. What were the challenges of post-pandemic in the schools and at homes and in society in general? So basically, what we heard were the kids are really not all right. There's a lot of trauma, stress, and helplessness out there. This is kind of post-traumatic from COVID and so on. So they did talk about the depression, even adults, 40%, they figured 40% of adults have some form of depression, not during this last 2 or 3 years. High school students, it's up as high as 54% of high school students are looking for something. There's like a hopelessness going around to some extent. Educators, administrators, we all as parents or as community members need to be help the kids, help each other, help the therapist as they try to kind of take care of this situation. Social emotional learning, which this school and many schools have been engaged in over the last 2 or 3 years anyway, if not 4, is very critical. We heard a couple of comments this evening about how caring our teachers are and the administration is with the kids, and I think that's important. That's a leg up from probably a lot of other schools. Kids want it, and we all want it safe. We want to have relationships, build support, collaborate and connect with people. We want a routine that's steady and promote respect and basically healthy emotions. So these are some of the things. We had a couple of psychologists there. I'm not sure there's some debate whether they were worth it or not, but I found it somewhat interesting anyway. So isolation, stress, and trauma equal struggles of one kind or another. That was, besides that, that was the main sessions, but I went to public comment. I talked to Brett about it. There are things that right now in nationwide, a lot of groups, angry groups are coming into school board meetings and demanding this and demanding that. And the chair can really control this by not getting involved in other than saying this is not on the topic this evening. You need to check ahead of time. Whatever. So several things you can do, and we can control what comes out from, the public. We want to have free speech, and in this country, we do have free speech and First Amendment, but also you can't disrupt a public hearing. So that's kind of important. I also went to Supreme Court cases, which Lisa would probably be interested in. There was a little bit of everything, a lot of stuff on stress, but a lot of legality as far as school and administration, what they have to worry about. And my colleague here, Mr. James, will report what he went to or saw.
First of all, I would really recommend all of you go down. It is just an amazing experience. There are over 700 of us at this conference. And as Dave just said, a lot of the focus was on mental health, on the kids, which is wonderful. I did a couple of sessions about vocab, which I thought were really good. The one thing I did bring back is that Neshoba Tech in mid-January is going to be doing a program for new school committee members to attend. It is really just sort of, I'm not even sure if it's replacing the old program.
Charting the course.
Yeah, charting the course. But it's gonna happen, and it's just sort of a place where new school committee members can go and learn and mentor and share. I fortunately am still interested in mental health and went to a lot of the mental health seminars. I did bring back a booklet, so if anyone wants to see what was offered. It is really just, for me, it was amazing to see the collegiality between everyone. Miss Lynch, by the way, is known by many people, including.
I hope in a good way.
No, absolutely, a good one. The mayor of Medford, or the former mayor of Medford.
He knows everyone.
And he knows everybody.
Can I share a story that came out today when we talk about social emotional learning in our kids? Mr. Leganis was with the chair of the NEASC committee first thing in the morning, and they watched kind of our process in the morning. And I'm hearing the story secondhand. So I guess the student got off the bus and Mr. Leganis was with the chair, and the student went right over to Mr. Leganis and said, "Do you have any socks? I don't have any socks." And of course, Mr. Leganis said, "Well, you can have mine, but they're kind of stinky," which I bet they are.
I did say that.
Yeah. So we immediately found one of the coaches who had softball socks and were able to give the student socks. But I think that is really telling that a student felt comfortable enough to go to the principal and say, I need help. Can you help me with that?
That's
So,
impressive.
yeah, so that, what we're doing here is hopefully impacting kids. And I think that that's pretty telling. I wouldn't wear your socks, Mr. McGinnis.
All right, just this is the boring part. I was a delegate from this board to the MAS convention. They have resolutions. They had 6 resolutions this year, so I'm just gonna briefly go over them. And a lot of these have to do with, some are politically correct, some aren't, whatever, some have to do with business or fiscal items and so on. First resolution, sanctuary laws for transgender students, giving them constitutional guaranteed rights, which are basically in our constitution, state constitution anyway. All of these passed. Resolution 2, chapter 40, section 13E, talks about money for SPED. And it amends that state law. We want it to go from 2% to 5% annual school spending on that, or it's related to that. So that also passed. The third one was to allow teachers, administrators, school board members, regular citizens to be part of the board, the DESI board. Right now, it's somewhat restricted. So, I mean, if you have a board regulating plumbers, you usually have plumbers on it, Here, we're talking about education, when there are any educators and or administrators on that board. So we're hoping to have some relief there. The resolution 4 has to do with schools that have been taken over, allow rule of schools to have to end after 3 years. Right now, it's like, I think Lawrence and a couple others they're sort of in purgatory. They don't know when they're going to come back again. So they would like to see a limit of a 3-year limit of takeover by the state. One I found was interesting, resolution 5 was personal finance literacy, asking that every high school, every middle school and high school in the state have a course or present within a course a unit on financial responsibility. So kids know how to use either a checkbook. Nowadays, I guess they use the computer and stuff, but they need to know how when they get out and graduate, what they can do and can't do. Resolution 6, I need to talk to Kara about. Establish a regional school assistant reserve fund. Sounds like a slush fund for regional schools. So I've got some of the verbiage, the worded here. I'd like you to take a look at it. And it talks about district legislation needs to be done. I don't know if they mean by each one of the towns or if we're the legislators for this body. So I'll check with you. So that's about it. Everything passed. Beautiful weather. My feet were aching me. My back was aching me from walking because you have a workshop over here and then the other one's over there. And then you got to go here for general assembly. And it was tiring, but very nice. And
The weather was
the
beautiful.
superintendent was a perfect host.
Yes, she was. She was. Absolutely.
Oh, stop it.
As was our business manager.
Yes,
Perfect host.
yes.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Mr. Irving. Mr. James. Moving on, executive session.
Oh, goody.
I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the position of the committee, and upon completion of the executive session, we will adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So we need a roll call vote to go into executive session. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Noyce. Ms. Popinger.
Yes.
Mr. Tucker.
Okay.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Ms. True.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, if I can ask if Mr. Leganis and Ms. Cosmos could stay for this part of the meeting.